Gail, again, I am so looking forward to you being the highlight of my week and the highlight of my day. I had the opportunity and the pleasure of meeting you almost a year ago here in LA. I know you meet tons of people, so it's no way you remember me, but no one can ever forget the Mrs. Gail Simmons.
Oh, please. I mean, I'll take it. Thank you.
Of course, I have to start by saying a huge congratulations with the three recent Emmy nominations, which of course includes Christian's nomination for Outstanding Host.
Yes, I know. We are incredibly proud of her. And truthfully, I think I can speak on behalf of our whole production of Top Chef that we are incredibly proud of the season that we created this past year in Canada, season 22.
Yeah, yeah. And Gail, listen, we're almost like 20 years in, almost like
Hmm.
3 seasons in, depending on where you guys are in production right now. But I want to talk about this journey, and I'm sure you get tired of being asked this question, but I feel like it's so important for the world and the viewers and all of your fans to know, like, how did Gail Simmons get to where she is today?
I mean, that's a big question. It's again 20 years of just making Top Chef alone, and many years before that of working towards sort of an obtuse goal that I really didn't know until I was living it, right? I don't think anyone can really decide what they want to be, and that path is literal. It takes twists and turns, and you don't know what's coming in the future in terms of what technology will be invented that will change and alter your course and your path, as well as who you'll meet along the way. The short story is I graduated from college many, many years ago with the very loose idea that I wanted to work in food media. Back then, food media really was print publications, magazines, newspapers. There was perhaps some early blogging. There was early food television. The Food Network was in its infancy, but truthfully, the idea of full food television and reality television, the way we all see it now, did not exist. And it was the farthest from my mind anyway. Television was never the goal. Um, I loved to write, I loved to cook, I loved to eat and travel. And I figured, at least for a little, before I got jaded with the world, I would try my best to find a career that allowed me to do some form of those things. And I got very lucky. I got jobs in the media, in the print media world, at a magazine and then a newspaper. And at both places, I was drawn time and again to the food sections. And after following them around for a long time, was told in uncertain terms that I can try and work in a food section, but until I know anything about food, it's going to be hard to do so. So I realized I needed to do something to differentiate myself. From there, I moved to New York City, went to culinary school, worked as a cook, went back to magazines again, worked for several magazines, for Vogue magazine for 2 years, for Food and Wine magazine for 15 years. And in between those two, worked for an incredible chef for many years, helping him with books and public relations and events and projects. All the while, just building my skills in both the world of food and cooking and the world of media, public relations, communications, as media was changing. When I got to Food and Wine magazine, I was doing a very specific job running events and part of the marketing department when Bravo, which was sort of a fledgling network at the time, and really trying to figure out its own voice, came to Food and Wine asking to partner on this idea for a food show they had, the likes of which no one had ever seen. This was at the kind of infancy of food television, and they suggested creating a show as partners that threw open the kitchen door to the real life of young talent in the kitchen and trying to find the next great chefs. We didn't know how it would go, but they put me up for the job, and through a series of coincidences and a screen test and just kind of saying yes to the opportunity, not knowing where it would lead, I landed myself on the first season of Top Chef. And 20 years, 23 seasons, spin-offs, products, books later. I'm still making the show, but I'm also doing many other things in that world of food media. So somehow I realized my goal and have been able to be part of, the Top Chef franchise or the Top Chef sort of empire in a way I could have never imagined. And I've done it with an incredible group of people. And over 20 years, obviously, all of our roles have grown and changed and evolved along the way.
And we'll definitely get to the other things you have cooking in the kitchen because you have a book coming out, if I'm not mistaken, the latter half of 2026 or within the next year.
Here's hoping if I finish writing it.
And you also have a show that you're serving and fulfilling the role as an executive producer on a
Yes.
reality related type show called Taste. So we'll get to that. But Gail, I'm interested, like at what age did you make the decision to actually tap into culinary school?
I was probably 23 or 24.
Okay.
I graduated, as I said, I graduated college, went back to Toronto where I had been
Yeah.
born and raised, and got a few jobs, entry level jobs in the media world.
Yeah.
And because I was interested mostly in food writing and reporting, restaurant reviews, food culture, and travel, I was drawn to those sections of the magazine and the newspaper that I worked at.
Yeah.
And it was from there that I realized if I wanted to differentiate myself in the world of food specifically, I needed some practical experience. So I
Hmm.
moved to New York and went to culinary school there.
And obviously, there are so, I mean, literally, probably half of the world looks up to you. They admire your work ethic, look what you bring to the table. So you're a protege, in more ways than one. Like, do you have anyone in particular that you have looked up to and whose work that you have inspired, like over the years, that has
Oh,
helped you? Yeah,
many people, both through personal mentoring relationships and just people I admire in my industry. I mean, the saying, you stand on the shoulders of the people who came before you, who broke ground in the space. And there were certainly people in so many respects, food writers, women, cooks who were brave enough to cook on television, people like Julia Child, Jacques Pepin, who opened the world to even the idea of food on television when everyone thought it was a joke and not important and really just for housewives. And now we know that the food business and food television and food media in all its forms is a multi-million, if not billion-dollar industry. Everybody eats, everyone cooks, goes to restaurants,
yeah.
travels, and just by nature of being human, you have to eat. You might as well enjoy it. So people like that, and then I also had great mentors, direct mentors in my life. The food critic in Toronto who told me that I should go to culinary school because I don't know anything about food. It was a harsh lesson, but couldn't have been more true. My first boss in the kitchens I worked at, as well as my boss at Vogue, Jeffrey Steingarten, the food critic, where I worked for 2 years, really working for and learning from him. Danielle Boulou was a chef, one of the greatest chefs living today, who I worked for many years and who taught me the business of restaurants and who I'm so grateful to. And then, of course, my editor in chief and my publisher at Food and Wine magazine, which was my home for 15 years. And the launch of really my media career in the public eye. And they supported and cheerleaded me and taught me the ropes. And even my executive producers on Top Chef, even though now we are all producing together, they have taught me how to make television, and I've never made television really without them. As much as I've made many other shows, Top Chef has always been the foundation of where I work, and I'm really proud of that.
Yeah, I want to get a little personal with you. And obviously, I'm sure you can answer this from multiple angles. But what is it about the culinary experience in food that really intrigues Gail Simmons the absolute most? Like, what is it about food? Is it the fact that it's like a form of art? Is it the creativity behind it? Is it the taste? Like, is it the experience? Like, what is it that has always done it for
I
you?
think it's all of those things in part,
Yeah.
but first and foremost, it is the universal experience of eating that really interests me. It's not the actual food, although of course that is delicious and it is one of life's great pleasures, and it is what
Yeah.
separates us as humans from the animal kingdom, the ability to cook and sit at a table together. But
Mm,
that is the piece that interests me the most. The idea of food as a way of storytelling about culture, about history, about geography and demographics.
yeah.
And that it can be so different all over the world, but also at its base, it is a universal human experience. Everyone can relate to it, everyone can connect to it and understand its importance. It's significant not just to sustain us physically, but to nurture us emotionally and mentally and physically as well, right? It serves so many purposes in all of our cultures, no matter where we're from, no matter where our ancestors were from, and regardless of our immigrant pathways to get to where we now live. And that to me is what's the most powerful about food, that it tells us a story. Um, even, even the most simple dish has roots, right? Has origins, has, connects to everything from agriculture to climate to history. And I think that is what keeps me going in the space.
I absolutely love that you're taking me completely off script. Like I am not going with the questions that I have.
Sorry, sorry, not
No,
sorry.
I love it. I absolutely love it. What
Well, I just think food people can think of as superficial. I'm told all the time from people, "Oh, I'm not a foodie. I'm not a cook. I don't know how to cook. I'm not into food."
yeah,
And I always laugh at it because
yeah,
you're 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 alive. You have to eat. I'm not telling you to eat caviar every day. I'm not telling you you have to cook 3 meals a day and make a 4 course dinner every night. But just by nature, like food is a major part of our existence. And I think it's just a fascinating place to connect
I
with
agree.
other people, on so
I
many levels.
I agree with that so much. Like, what are some of your, such a cliche question, but I genuinely want to know, like outside of my job as a journalist, what are some of your favorite dishes? Like what is your favorite wine? Like what is your
Oh,
favorite
you know,
cousin
I, I
cooking?
I get this question a lot. I don't have like a favorite, it depends
Yeah.
on my mood, it depends on the season, it depends on my location. When I'm in New York at home, I cook differently than when I'm at at a vacation house in California, or I crave different things in the summer than I do in the winter. It has a lot to do with what's inspiring me, where my last trip was, or the what I love so much about food, and especially living in a city like New York, but truly living anywhere in North America these days, you can do this, is that I can eat 3 to 5 different cuisines in any given day. So I don't
Yeah.
have to have a favorite, right? Like that's my favorite. That I can eat huevos rancheros for breakfast, and I can eat an amazing salad niçoise for lunch, and then I can have Szechuan for dinner, or I can eat, I don't know, incredible barbecue or
Yeah.
soul food, right? Like I don't need to make a choice. What I love to cook is like what inspires me in the moment, because every dish is different and every day I wake up with different sort of like emotions and cravings.
Yeah.
It sounds like a cop out answer, but it's true.
No, I mean, I definitely can feel like your passion behind it. I think I would be so intimidated to go out and I would love to experience dinner with Gail Simmons, breakfast with Gail Simmons. But
My
I can
children would
only,
disagree. But, I don't think dinner with me is that different, because truthfully, unless I'm working like I am on assignment in some way, I don't overanalyze. I'm like the least picky eater, I just want to have great conversation. I want to talk. I want to taste new things.
yeah,
And, but I also don't want always the focus.
yeah.
I'm not the kind of person who's like the foodie who just has to talk about food all the time. I just want to enjoy my experience. And if it's made with love, it can be the simplest bowl of rice, but I will love it.
Oh, wow. That's good to know because I was going to ask, like, how intimidated are your family and friends to,
Oh, my
out
family
and
and friends do not care in the least about my food opinions.
I love
I
that.
mean, it's not, they're my family and friends. You know what I mean? I'm mom, I'm
You are.
bestie, I'm Gail, I'm wife, I'm daughter, I'm sister.
You're human.
Yeah, and I think we all have opinions and they're all valid for who we are, you know? I mean, I can try to change people's minds on things, and I often do try.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of like my job on Top Chef is to translate food, not, so that people understand the experience when we're eating the different dishes that we eat. Not to, I mean, yes, my title is judge, but I'm actually not being like judgmental in a subjective way, right? I'm trying to explain and champion food and cooks and the world of eating.
What do you feel like over on Top Chef specifically, like over the 20 years and the 22 seasons thus far, has been the toughest advice, that you have had to share with someone? Like,
Hmm.
I'm sure you've experienced like a chef that you're just like probably in the back of your head, like, I don't think he or she is cut out for this, like in the long run.
Sure.
Yeah, like, what is that like?
Well, it's interesting. Our show has evolved a lot. In the early years, the contestants were far less experienced than they are now. At this point, it's not really about getting good food and bad food. We never have chefs on the show that are completely terrible cooks. Like we cook, like our show is about true professionals, and most of them have been cooking for 10 plus years. So none of them are making like egregious 101 errors, right? It becomes more of a scale of great to greatest in the level of food that we're talking about, which is a privilege. We're never eating like terrible food, judging it against incredible food. Those are different shows.
Yeah.
It's all on a scale of good. That's the first thing. That said, I have many times over the years had to deliver advice or criticism about a specific dish that has been hard to swallow, I'm sure, for the chefs. And I know they take our advice and our criticism to heart. So I really am careful with my words. My goal is um, not to take people down and not to be harsh. My goal is to be constructive so that regardless of if they stay or go, they learn something from the experience and they understand our point of view. And I also always want to understand theirs and their intention, right? But I would say that the hardest thing I've ever had to explain to people isn't necessarily about their food, it's about their emotions on the show. And often, it's hard to take criticism, especially to your face. And it's hard to not be emotional about food when you are making it and working so hard to tell your story. And I think that's what makes Top Chef, like really differentiates Top Chef from any other show out there, is that we really do give them that opportunity.
Yeah.
And it's really about their narratives. And the hardest thing I've had to explain on a few occasions is that showing weakness in the kitchen is not like showing, oh, sorry, I should say showing emotion in the kitchen is not a sign of weakness. That it takes emotion to be vulnerable, to open yourself up to really giving yourself, in a way that doesn't, that feels true and honest. And that's when you cook the best. If you're just imitating others or cooking to how you think we want it to be or how you think it's supposed to be, that's not really you. And what you need is to show emotion. But emotion is not the same thing as weakness or failure. And that's like a hard lesson in any job, but in the kitchen where emotions run so high, it's often a really hard thing to allow yourself to be.
Yeah, I want to talk about the different states, obviously, that Top Chef has, focused on, tapped into.
Sure, we've been everywhere at this point,
I mean,
almost.
literally everywhere. But Gail, listen, I currently live in LA, but I am from Chicago. And let me tell you something. I feel like Chicago has some of the absolute
It
best.
does. Couldn't agree more. Love it. Obsessed with
Really?
Chicago.
Yeah, like what are some of your favorite like culinary states?
Oh, I mean, this is the thing. People always are like, how can you not go to this city? Or how have you
Yeah.
gone to this place? Or like, this city doesn't feel like a culinary destination? Why are you going there? But I believe right now in 2025 in America, you can eat well everywhere, and every state has, again, a history, a geography, a terroir that makes its food different than anywhere else, right? That's the first thing. And there's so much to learn everywhere we go. You know, we went to Wisconsin 2 seasons ago, and when they first told me we were going to Wisconsin, I was like, really? What are we going to do in Wisconsin? Is there enough there? But I learned, of course, there is. There's plenty because there's so many people and histories and immigrant pathways and stories to tell and ingredients to discover and methods that they cook those ingredients that are different than how they cook it in Alabama or in Maine, right? So
Yeah.
that's the first thing. But in terms of my favorite destinations, in terms of just like great food cities I love eating in where we've been, I
Yes.
mean, we've gone all over the world, Singapore and Hawaii and London and Paris and Italy twice. But I would say in the States, Chicago is absolutely top five of my favorite food cities. I
Yeah,
mean, New York
are
and
you
let's,
kidding me? I love that
well,
we're
we
in
went
the
to
top
Chicago in
five.
season four. I mean,
Yeah.
it's time to go back, truthfully, but we don't often repeat places. Um, New Orleans is one of my favorite cities to eat in the world.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I grew up in Toronto and I'm very attached to it as a food city because it is so diverse and so expansive. But I also am obsessed with Montreal as another really overlooked city that I think has some of the greatest food in the world. Charleston is one of my favorite cities to eat in the world, or certainly in the States. Um, I'm trying to think of like my other favorite places that we've eaten and destinations. I mean, you know, of course, LA and San Francisco, but I just think there's more to discover in the smaller places. You have to dig a little deeper, but it's all there.
I just love that Chicago is in Gail Simmons a
Oh yeah,
top
I love
five.
it. I'm in Chicago at least once a year, and I try to do as much eating as I can. I mean, the quality of restaurants and chefs there is, I mean, you can't deny.
Impeccable. Yeah. But before I let
Hmm.
you go, of course, I can talk to you forever and ever and ever, right? Let's talk about your book that you have coming out and this new show that you're the EP behind,
Sure.
Taste. Like,
I
what?
mean, they're both in various stages of, let's call it, development. So
Okay.
it's a little premature to really talk about either because I
Okay.
don't have dates and I don't have so many details, but they're both passion projects that have been in the works for many years and they are both like officially happening. Um, you know, my book is not a cookbook, although it will have some recipes. It's a really a guidebook to being a good guest. I think it's an art that has gotten a little lost over the years, especially through the pandemic and with the digital and social world where people connect on their phones seemingly more than they connect in person. I am trying to make the argument that it's time to get off your couch, put your phone down, and say yes to your next invitation. I'm not saying you need to cook a dinner party. It's the opposite book to a book about hosting. I'm not saying you have to do any of that work. I'm saying next time you get invited out,
Go.
don't complain that you would rather sit on your couch in sweatpants and scroll. Get up, get dressed, buy a little gift. Doesn't have to be fancy. Take it to a friend and connect, and preferably over a meal. And I kind of explain how to do that. So that's the book, and then it should come out by the end of 2026. TBD.
Okay.
The television show, similar timeline, but totally different subject. It's a sitcom that I'm working on with NBC and two incredible writers, along with Julie Bowen, a formidable actress, a comedy actress who we all know and love. Um, Producing, it's a comedy about the food world, specifically about the food media world. So obviously, it hits really close to home, and I've been developing a lot of the material for it with the writers and with Julie, really for almost 2 years. Um, and we just can't wait to make people laugh with it because I think as much as I live and in and love the food media world, it's also ripe for satire. There's just a lot that you don't want to take too seriously, and I think it should be fun and funny, and it's a workplace comedy that will also allow for bigger conversations about our food and our food system and about how we think about what we
Yo, honestly, you are the best. I love you.
eat. Thank
Thank
you.
you
Appreciate
so
that.
much for your time today. Congrats again on the Emmy nominations. Fingers are crossed.
Thank you. Well, yes, cross your fingers, vote, vote, vote. If you are a
Yeah.
Television Academy member, final voting starts this week. So, Top Chef for the win. We are truly, um, you know, we are truly dedicated to the season we just made in Canada. It was a first in a lot of ways for us. And I think that it tells an incredible story of people and place. So I hope that people watch it and vote for it.
We will. Thank you so much for your time today, Gail. I really
You too.
thank you
Me
so
too.
much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.